was I had this fish, and I created this fish, and then I turned it into a custom brush tip that I can use in my other document. So I want to show you a technique of frame by frame animation that you could use. So I'm going to put my playhead where I want the fish to come in. Maybe the fish starts as the dog is just about to leave, and the fish comes in. So I put my playhead there, and then I can go to layer, and then I can choose under video layers, new blank video layer. You could also, if you want to incorporate video footage that you might have shot from your camera on your phone, or you know, any video footage you may have that you want to incorporate, you could also choose new video layer from file. But I'm not going to do that for this project. I'm just going to choose new blank video layer, and then it drops in a blank video layer that I can paint on frame by frame. But in order to enable frame by frame drawing, I need to be able to use the keyboard shortcuts. So right now, when I press my arrow keys, my playhead doesn't move. But if I go to the little options menu here from the timeline, I can choose, oh, actually it is enabled. You want to make sure that you choose enable timeline shortcut keys for this. It's very handy. So now let me try that again. So yeah, so now as I use my arrow keys, I can move my playhead forward and backward just tapping my arrow keys. So I'll start here. I got my fish. I might want to choose a specific color for my fish. Maybe it's a purple fish. And I can adjust the size because this is a brush. So it's a brush tip that's selected, which you can see from my brush settings menu. We've got this fish here selected, and I can change the size with the bracket keys. Choose what size I want the fish to be, and then I have my playhead at the beginning of the blank video layer, and then I can just click to stamp the fish. Let me zoom in here. And then I can use my arrow key to go forward a frame, and then I can have the fish go a little bit more forward and stamp. But it's going to be better if I click on the options button from the timeline and enable onion skins, because then I can see what the last frame looks like. You can also go into your onion skin settings, and it's showing a frame before, one frame before, one frame after, frame spacing, and the blend mode that's set to show what the frame before looks like is multiplied. And I'm fine with those settings for this. So it's showing me where my last frame was, so then I know where to go next. So then I can click to add another one, and then use my arrow key to go forward, and click to add another one, click to add another one, click to add another one. I'm just going forward one with my arrow key and clicking. I can also make the fish rotate by going to brush settings and adjusting the angle up a little bit. See, now it's going up, so I can click. Oops, I think I need to undo that and go forward a frame and then click, forward a frame and then click, forward a frame. Maybe I want it to rotate back down again, so then click, forward a frame, click, forward a frame, click, forward a frame with my arrow key, then go back up, click, forward frame, click, forward with my arrow key. Maybe I'll adjust the rotation again, click forward, go forward, just rotation a little bit, click, go forward, click, go forward, click. It's just stamping it in there. And let's go to the end with a click and another one, click, another one, click, another one, click, maybe one more, and then it's gone. So let's see how that looks. So I'm going to take off the onion skin, disable onion skin, and then go back and play this forward. I'm going to zoom out. Okay. So now dog is coming in. Fish goes across. It's a frame by frame fish animation there. And maybe I want to do something with this background. Keep the background going. Fish comes in. Okay, so that's using a blank video frame layer to draw on. And I could do other stuff too, like I have those paw prints I could use, so I could take the paw print and do a spotting of paw prints here and there. I could do it with my brush settings. I could maybe go into, actually I got the paw print selected, and then I can adjust the spacing and maybe adjust the scattering a little bit. And then let me just make my brush size a little smaller. And then I could do the same thing on the blank video layer if I want to do a scattering of paw prints, maybe with a different color, like a blue color. I could just scatter some paw prints. Wait a minute. But I'm on the wrong layers, so I need to highlight the layer because my blank video layer is layer 2. So I need to highlight it. I could just call this, I'm going to call this fish paw print. Notice the blank video layer has an icon that looks like a film strip because it's durational. Okay, so let's see what happens if I'm just drawing out with my mouse right now. And then I can go frame forward and just do like streaks of paw prints here and there. Circling the fish maybe. Like paw print bubbles. So let's see what that does. So now, when I play it forward, there are paw prints circling around on any of those frames that I added paw prints to. Oops, I was adding paw prints on the background layer. Uh-oh, I don't want that. So I can just, take my eyedropper and choose that color and paint bucket over that. Okay, I might do, let's see, maybe I want to create a bubble. So, so this time maybe I'll do a new layer, and then do like some gradient, use gradient and choose one of the blues and say okay there. And this is an empty layer. I'm gonna call this bubble. Try this, and I'm just going to use well, I guess I could do radial gradient. Click and drag, and then I could add a mask to it. So I'm gonna take my ellipse tool and add a path. Choose a path, and I'm gonna go to let's see, combine shapes for my path operation, and I'm gonna hold shift and draw out a path which is not yet attached to any layer, but I'm gonna try attaching it to this bubble layer. I could do that by clicking mask here. That should work. Let's see. Yeah, and then it makes it a layer that's a raster layer made of pixels with a vector mask attached. So on this bubble layer, let me open it up. If I use my, let's see, if I unlink the mask, I'm going to click the link off. Then I could use my move tool to select just the, let's see. See, I can move the color within the shape. Let me see, if I shift click the mask thumbnail, I can disable the mask, and then I can try some different ideas out with my gradient, like maybe the cylinder gradient. And then I'll enable my layer again with a shift click on, enable my mask again. And then I can use my move tool to move through here. So if I want to create an animation with the color moving through, I could do that. But maybe I want to do something a little bit more interesting, something a little brighter. So let's see, maybe with some texture. So I could double click and add like the bevel emboss and adjust the maybe, well, let's do texture and try let's see, there's water textures here. These are, okay, so there's water textures. Looks like a world now. Just adjust that a little bit. Go back to my bevel emboss, and I can experiment with the bevel. Maybe depth, soften, angle. Okay, so now when I use my move tool, I can kind of move this through, and you see the texture moving through. So I can keyframe that. And I can also adjust the size of my mask. So if I choose the path tool, I can scale the mask down, maybe make it smaller. And then I can keyframe the position of what's inside of the bubble. So I can click the stopwatch to start on position and then use my move tool and move through. And this bubble is getting covered up, so I'm going to drag it above things. Drag it to the top. Still getting covered up. Why is that? Bubble. Okay, and then I could move this back down this way, and maybe I'll just have this bubble. Then if I want to actually move the whole bubble, then I need to keyframe the vector mask position also. So I can click the stopwatch to start that and have it move, have it start off frame, out of frame, and then move onto frame. Can have it be smaller. And move up. And out. And it can go all the way up, and then it disappears. Maybe it goes faster than that, so I go move the keyframes closer together so that it goes faster. Oh, now it's going too fast. You just make it start later. So I'm playing forward with my oops, but now it needs to kind of disappear to nothing, so I can scale it down to nothing at this point. And I could also keyframe the opacity out. Oh, wait a minute. The scale is constant, so I can't really do that. Let me go back. Scale it bigger. Move it, and I'll move the position of with the position I have to move that up, and then I can fade it out with opacity. So I can click the stopwatch to start opacity and make opacity go all the way down to 0. How do I do that? Just bring the opacity down, then it disappears. You see how that bubble kind of moves through. But I just wanted to show you how you can keyframe two different things. When you have a layer with a mask, you can be keyframing what's inside of the mask, and that's with position, and then you can keyframe the vector mask position to actually move the object through the scene. Okay, another type of frame by frame animating I wanted to show is using frame animation. So I'm going to save this for now, and I'm going to open up another Photoshop file that I have here. So I have this one here. Okay, so I have this image of this guy, and I've already selected him, so I'm going to load the selection. Now he has the marching ants around him. And I'm going to make him a new layer. My favorite shortcut, Command J. I'm going to name this guy. And then I'm going to click back on the background and load the selection again. Go to select, load selection, and choose my selection that I have saved ahead of time called man. And this time I want to just delete what's inside of the selection so that the guy can be animated in front of a clear sky background. So I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to have the fill options come up because I'm deleting from the locked background layer. It's going to ask if I want to use content aware, which I do. So I say okay. So that fills the guy selection with content aware, which is what's around the surrounding area around the guy, the sky. But when I deselect, it kind of looks like he was like a paper cutout guy jumped through the sky and they taped it back together or something like that. So I want to make that look a little more clean. So I'm going to do that with the patch tool is a fast way to do it. So I'm just going to draw around the guy and drag out to just clear that funny looking cutout around his form. So just draw around the edge there, drag out to the clear area just to make it cleaner. Find some clear area to drag to. Let's see. There, so much cleaner background, maybe a little bit more here. Okay. So now we have a clear space for this guy to animate in front of. And I want to do some animation with maybe 3 frames. So I'm going to duplicate the guy by dragging him to the new layer button. Now I have guy copy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the positioning of his arms and legs using under edit. I'm going to choose puppet warp. So with puppet warp, it lets you let me click show mesh. It lets you add puppet pins, like they look like thumbtacks when you start using them, and it's helpful to kind of see where intersections are, because those are usually good places to add pins. Good places to add pins would be joints like the elbows to tack things down, the hands. So you see it looks like a little thumbtack. And I have everything set to normal, and normal for density, and expansion is how far the mesh expands out. I'm just going to click to add pins on the hands, on the head, to tack down the head, to be able to create movement on these places. Maybe his torso, knee is a good place, ankles perhaps, probably not too many. And I'm going to not show the mesh anymore. And now I'm just going to change the positioning. So I'm going to drag on the pins to create a new position for his arms and legs. So I can do this, this, this. Don't do that, because that could hurt. And maybe his head moves a little bit. So now there's a new position there. And then I can apply that by clicking the arrow. Let me zoom out. And then maybe I make another copy of the guy. Whoops. Right to the new layer, and I'll put that copy up on the top. And I'm going to turn off, let's see. Maybe I'll make these other guys bring down the opacity so they'll be like onion skin. And this one, bring down the opacity so I can kind of see what I've done so far. And then this one is the new one. So I want maybe, so this one I'm gonna go to Edit, Puppet Warp. And it helps to show the mesh at first to see where the intersections are, because those are good places to place the pins, strategic spots where you have more control. But you could go outside too. It's fine. Click and knee, foot. Okay, so maybe I want this one to be, maybe this one goes the other way. So this one, and you can select more than one at a time by shift clicking. Like maybe I move this down like that. And I'm gonna not show the mesh anymore. So I can click and hold shift and click and move his arm down further. And then, oh, I can add one, move his head, different direction. Maybe his legs go more this way, or well, let's see if I can get his leg even higher. No, that's a little, let's try this way. Let's try going down more. And then this one, I'm shift clicking. Oh, ouch. That doesn't look comfortable. So we'll go this way to just do another position for him. Okay, so then I apply that, and now we have 3 different positions for the guy. Let's just bring up the opacity. So we have this position. Maybe I'll reorder these. So maybe this one's first, and then this one, and then, so it's like this one, then this one. No, let's reorder them. So this one, then this one, then this one. Okay, so now we got the layers. Alright, so I have these 3 positions for the guy, and now I can create a frame animation from that. So I can do that by starting with my video timeline and clicking the drop down here and choosing create frame animation this time. And then to actually make it start, make it active, then I have to click the button. So I click the button. Now I have a frame animation with just 1 frame. So I need to actually get that a multi-frame animation. I I need to click the flyout menu on the timeline and choose make frames from layers. So now it's gonna play one frame after another on a loop, but it's not using the background as a constant at this time until I select the layer and I choose match layer across frame. Wait, is that right? Okay, yeah, and then I just need to say okay to this, match layer, layer position, visibility, and style. Uh-oh, that didn't look like it did the right thing. Hold on. Let's see, let's turn this on. Here, let's go back to here. And then we go match layer across frame. Okay. There, now it worked. So I had to select the layer I want to match across, and also I selected it over here as a frame. And now the background is matching across, but there's a little moment where he disappears because the first frame that's there does not include the guy. So I'm going to delete that first one by selecting it and clicking the trash button and say yes, delete that. And you can also set on a frame animation, you can set the duration of each frame. You can click the drop down here and make each one like 0.1 seconds or something and have it go a little slower. And then if I'm happy with that, I can select all of them together and click the copy frame button here, or duplicate selected frames. And I can just keep duplicating till I have a duration, and then I can play it forward to really be able to see how long my animation is. I should take it off forever and put it on play once, so when I click play it'll give me more of a sense of how long this is, because it should get to the end at some point and stop there. So that's how long it is. Maybe I just will double it, the whole thing, just to make sure, so I can click on the first frame, shift click the last, and duplicate. So now it's double that length. And then I can save this. Actually, wait a minute. Let me do this. Let me go File. I'm gonna save as. And I'm gonna call it Guy Frame Animation. And save as a Photoshop file. And okay. Okay, but I want to be able to integrate this into my my timeline, and in order to do that, I need to convert this frame animation to a timeline animation. So once you got the frame animation working the way you want, then you can, there's a button here in the bottom corner, and you can switch it to a timeline animation at any time. So now this is a timeline animation. And the frame rate is 30 frames per second. I could change the frame rate here, but it's okay if it's a different frame rate from the main timeline. But let's see what happens if I go set timeline frame rate. I can switch to just 12 frames per second. Okay, it makes it much shorter, so it's actually gonna play out to about, looks like 14 seconds. That's fine. That's plenty of time. So he's doing that. Alright, so I'm gonna save that. And now it's ready. And you can go back and forth. I can switch it back into a frame animation. There's a convert to frame animation button on the bottom corner too, but I'm going to leave it a timeline animation because it needs to be a timeline if I want to integrate it into my main timeline. So now I want to, let's say I want to integrate him into the main timeline. So I'm going to go File, Place. I'll do Place Embedded. And then I'm going to choose the guide frame animation. And click Place. And there he is. And maybe I'll just make him a little bigger so you can see him. And then I'll just press return. And there he is. And he's doing his little dance in my main timeline. But maybe I decide, well, I don't really want to have the background. No problem. This is a smart object, so I can, because I placed it embedded, I can double click on the thumbnail, and then all I have to do is delete the background. So I can just throw the background in the trash, save it, Command S to save, and then I can close it and it updates. So now it looks like the guy is swimming. So on this one I can open it up, and this one is already smart object, so I have transform, and I can decide when do I want this guy to swim in here. I can move him out of frame. Let me zoom out here and decide when he's gonna come in. Right about now, as the dog starts moving away, I can click the stopwatch to start, and then move the guy in. He's swimming in. Move up. What happened to the fish? Oh, there's the fish. The fish is gonna get him. Yikes. And then maybe he pauses for a moment so I can add a keyframe, and then he sees the fish and he darts away. And I move the playhead forward and move him out. Oh, he jumped out of the water. Okay. So that's all good, well and fun, but let me just add some music now. So I'm going to save this. Got something in chat because I want to get to text. So I'm going to add some music. So here we go. So for music, there is if you want to add audio, you can go all the way to the bottom of the timeline, and there is an audio track option here. You can click the little option button on the far right, and you can choose add audio. You could also add multiple audio tracks. I'm going to choose add audio, and I have, let's see, I think this is the one, Florence. Okay, so hopefully this isn't too loud. Let me try it. Run! Okay, so here is a little section I got from Florence and the Machine. Run! Okay, sorry, it's a little loud. And I want to get to the okay, so I want to get to the dog days are over. That's about 14 seconds in. Let's see, but all my action happens at the beginning when she says run. Maybe this circle made of pixels can do something. Or some things can happen later, like because we want to keep things popping. So maybe the guy moves in later. And we gotta keep, maybe the water stays longer. Extend that out. Maybe the bubble can come in later. There's probably too much going on at the beginning. It'll look better later to keep things popping. Maybe this one extends longer. Okay, so I want to get to where she says the dog days are over, and demonstrate how to create a typography animation, like kinetic typography that animates to the vocals, to the audio. So I'm going to start with the type tool and just click. And oops, because of where I was selected in the layers, it put the layer underneath everything. I'll just type the and go to my move tool, and then I'm just gonna drag the up to the top of the stack. Okay. Maybe I'll choose a different color. So I'll go back to my type tool, choose maybe a darker color that would stand out more. Or a lighter color. Actually, lighter is good. And maybe a different font. Casual Friday. Let's see what I have here. And maybe something a little different. This will probably be good. I like fonts that have a lot of different styles. So this one has a lot of different styles to choose from. Wide, bold. Let's see. So I'll go with that. And then I'll take my type tool again and click and type days. Oops, this is dog, sorry. The dog. Actually, I'll make it capital. Dog. The dog. And then take my type tool again and click and type days. And go back to my type tool again. Click. R. The dog days are. And I go to my move tool, and then I go to my type tool and click over. And then words that I want to really emphasize and exaggerate to make the layout interesting, I would select those words and make them bigger. I can go back to auto select, so it's easier to select my layers remotely. And then I can increase the size, like dog is an important word here that I want to stand out. The dog days. So dog, if I go to my type tool, I can see that's 301. So maybe I want days to match, so I can highlight days and type in 301 also. And the dog days. And then maybe I can use Command T and rotate it. Some kinetic typography does interesting stuff with rotating in layouts, so I can hold Shift and rotate till I get it to perfect 90-degree angle. Press return, and that could be, for the purpose of fitting it into the layout in an interesting way. The dog days are maybe days could be back over. No, the dog days. R could also be turned so that things fit. So I'm going to hit Command T and rotate R, holding Shift to constrain to get a perfect 90 degrees. And then over is an important word. That can be large. So I can select over. Actually, if I double click with my move tool, then I highlight the text and it switches me to my type tool, and I could do over big too, like 301, and go back to my move tool. Maybe R should move up a little bit here. And remember, we want to keep our text layout so that the text is not hanging outside of the title safe boundary. So not quite like that, more like this. Maybe this will look better over a little bit to fill the space better. Line things up. Give that a little more space. The can move up a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Days are over. Okay, so now that I have my layout, this is how I want the layout to end. I want it to end up looking, and I want the text to appear at each word that she sings. So I want to find where she says the, and that's where I want the to start. So just about here. And then dog comes in, so I'm going to trim dog over. And days, I'm just kind of hearing where she says each word and stopping my playhead there, and then trimming, because you put your mouse right on the edge of the layer in the timeline and you can trim. So I want to find where she says R, and I can zoom in so I have a little bit more precision. And then where she says, let's see, R, and then over comes in. And so now I've created sort of this staircase so that each word pops in where she speaks it. Oh, but okay, the is coming a little early, so I'll trim it. So that's pretty good. Okay, then other things you can do, you can open up each of the text layers and you could do different animations for each one. You can animate opacity in so that I can click the stopwatch to start on opacity and extend the layer out and move the playhead to the beginning and then bring the opacity down to 0. So that fades the type in. Another way to fade is to use the fade transition. So here are different transitions you can experiment with. You can click on, and I could do a fade and drag a fade to the beginning or the ending of a layer in the timeline. So this is maybe an easier way than opacity keyframing. So now this is fading in. Instead of just popping in, now we have the text fading in, and I can adjust how long it takes to fade by adjusting the duration of the fade, so it can fade in faster or take longer, extend the fade longer or shorter. And then, but some, you might just like the text to pop in, that's fine. You might have it move in and keyframe transform to have it move in. On Over, I like the way she sings Over, and I kind of want it to dance to how she sings it, how she goes, oh, over. So that is something I could do with Text Warp, which is a specific property that you get with text. So I'm gonna try that by clicking the stopwatch on Text Warp, moving my playhead forward, and then to do warping on text, I could either go to the type tool and then click warp over here, create text warp, and then I could choose, maybe I want to do flag, and then I can use the bend. Uh-oh, my internet connection's unstable. And then I say okay there, and it creates a second keyframe. So now there's a nice little wave going on. Or another way is I can move my playhead forward. I can go to edit, transform, warp, and then it gives me a control I can drag on. I can choose what I want to warp. My warp options up here as well in the control panel. That looks good to me. So then I can press return to apply that, and I can kind of keep going back and forth. I can go back to edit, transform, warp, and then move this little box to make the text warp again, and then press return to apply that. So now Over's gonna just dance to how she is singing that, and then I can have the text disappear one at a time, or I could have something come in and fade in on top to make everything go away. So that's the challenge, is how you decide to bring this all to a close. One easy way to bring everything to a close is to simply add another layer on top, maybe a black layer, another shape layer. Like I could choose to go to the very top of the stack of layers by selecting the top layer, and I could choose my rectangle tool, and I could choose shape, and this color here is the same color that I started out with, so I could just keep it consistent with this purple color. I think it was a similar enough color anyway. And then I can drag a big shape over everything, and now I have this layer here to close everything out, and I can put a fade on that. Oops, click, and I can do like a fade and drag a fade onto that. And so now it's going to fade in with the clear screen. That's a simple way to create an ending. And then the audio too, you want to fade the audio out. So right as the text is, everything's fading out, I want the audio to fade out. So let me just zoom out here. I can trim the audio length down and match to this. This is now at 28. What did I say the length is for this in your requirements? Yeah, so I'm almost to 30 seconds. And then I'm just gonna go to, let's see here. So there, there, and then on the end of the audio you can click, there's a little, it looks like a little play button. You can add a duration that you want to fade out. So I can drag this fade out slider that pops up to a certain duration, however long I want it to take to fade out. So now we go back and play it. We want a kind of gradual ending. So that creates a nice gradual ending. Maybe I'll trim it a little bit more so it ends a little sooner. Maybe a little more. Let's see. Okay, so I think there's a little gap in the middle. You don't want to have any gaps in the middle. You want to have a clear beginning, and then middle means stuff just keeps unfolding and becomes climactic and then winds down to an ending. So let's see how I'm doing so far here. Oops, my audio needs to start at the beginning, so I'm gonna see if I can. Uh-oh, what happened here? I guess it slid, so I'm gonna have to extend it to where I wanted to end it, which was here. I wanted to end it there, and yeah, okay, that should be good. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay, I think, okay, what happened to my text now? Oh, my text started too late. How did that happen? That's weird. So, she said the dog days. Okay, right about here. So I'll just select, let's see if I can select all these layers by shift clicking. Yeah, and then I can drag them over. Let's see how that. So it's almost there. The fades are probably a little bit taking a little bit too long, because it kind of works better if if they kind of pop in right where, and days maybe needs to come in a little sooner. Dog maybe a little sooner to be right on. And over a little bit sooner. And maybe the animation on over is a little faster. Maybe that starts happening a little sooner. So it kind of dances with how she sings it. Okay, so then this comes in, and maybe we can fade things out a little sooner before she starts singing the next line. Then I want it to already be coming to a close right about there. Let's see. There. So that feels like a good closing. So beginning, maybe the water should kind of rise a little faster. Where's that water? The water layer here. You can select it and keyframe it to move a little faster so that it's already at meeting the surfboard at the beginning. There we go. So I just moved the keyframes closer together. Stuff is happening in the middle. This guy comes in. I mean, I could just duplicate the bubble, so I could just double that, drag it to the new layer, and then I have another bubble layer I can have later on. Let's see. This bubble comes in, and then not there. Let's see. Let's have more bubbles coming in one after another. Or I could have more fish coming in. So the fish, I could duplicate the fish because I want to keep things a little bit more exciting. So I should either create something more, or let's see this circle made of pixels, if that'll be interesting somewhere. Circle made of pixels. Where is that circle? There it is. So I turned that on. Let's see. So that's kind of interesting. I can have the fish and paw prints and duplicate that layer. And then that one can come in again later on to keep things interesting, sliding it over. You could also drag a layer down. Let's see. Let me just see this one. Actually, this kind of ends here, and then nothing's really going on. So I can save room, vertical room, by dragging a layer down to the same track. Actually, and then I can trim this. So we have the fish coming through. Let's see. So the fish comes through, and then another fish comes through. Okay, and then that's the end. Wait a minute, what happened here? What happened to my ending? Okay, there's my ending. Okay, so I want my ending to be right about here. This is the work area. To make sure that it ends where I want it to, I can drag it. So actually it ended up 19 seconds, which is good, a good length for this project. And anything that's just hanging off the edges will not be rendered. You can trim things that are hanging, but you don't have to, as long as you adjust your work area to where you want it to actually end. So check your beginning, check your ending, check how your middle is going, and then you're ready to render. So, we're just about out of time, so let me just go over exporting really quick. So you can go File, Export, and since I have audio, I would do Render Video. So File, Export, Render Video. And then you can just have it be the same name. Here, I'm going to take out Recovered, because that happened because my system crashed. And I'm going to make it go to select a folder and choose this, my Tuesday, Thursday, and choose. And I don't want to create a subfolder for it. So I want to choose Adobe Media Encoder, not Photoshop image sequence. And then format H.264 is good, high quality is good, document size, so it matches the size we set up for the frame rate. It's using the frame rate that I set up with my timeline. That's good. Everything else looks good. That's just video technical stuff on how the video scans each line of video and the aspect ratio of the pixels, so you can just leave that alone. color manage, you can just leave that checked. Work area, I want to set this to the work area so that whatever is rendered is just what's under my work area that I set, so I have that selected. And then I'm just gonna click render. So it's making the video, it's like it's baking the cake in the oven. And then I'll show you how, if you want to do the GIF animation. So this is the video. This is what can be put up on YouTube. Makes an MP4 file. So now can find it in my folder for this class. Name, last name, first initial, Proj 5, MP4, and open this up by double clicking it, and I can play it. Alright, so that's the video file. Then if you want to make a GIF, you only need to do one or the other. You go File, Export, and you choose Save for Web Legacy. And as long as you set it to 12 frames per second and not anything higher than that, and it's not too long of a duration, it should be able to make a GIF, but it could take some time. It's kind of stalling for the GIF. Might be too involved to make a GIF. Oh, wait. I think it's coming, unless it's crashing. Just gonna see if it does it. There it is. Okay, so it does take some time for it to load up, but as long as you choose GIF over here, if you want to retain transparency, you can set that. You can leave all the default settings here. It's going to be 256 colors. You can leave dither at 100%. That's kind of how the blending looks between colors. And then I like to set the looping option to forever rather than once. Forever, so that it'll just play on a loop. And then I can click done, or save. Actually, save is what I want to click, and then I'm going to put that in my folder for the class, so it's going to be the same name as the file .gif. I'm going to take out recovered too. So last name, first initial, proj5.gif, and that should play as an animated GIF once it's saved. Save that. So it takes a little time. There. So now if I go into my folder, I've got a GIF that'll preview like that. And it can also preview in the browser. I drag the GIF to the browser. Proj 5 GIF, and then we see it play in the browser. Alright, so that's the GIF. And then to turn it in, let's see, am I in student view? We just go to the assignment and go to project 5 and then just click start assignment and then upload the file, choose file, and then just choose your 2 files, one after another, before you submit. So that would be my my Photoshop file, Proj 5 PSD. Uh-oh. I don't know where my recovered file went. Let's see. Let's go back here. Make sure I'm saving this in the right place. Save as. Did I save this in the wrong place? Oh, maybe I put it in the wrong place. Make sure it's in my Tuesday, Thursday. Just take out recovered. Save. Replace. Okay. Okay, so then there's my Photoshop file. I click open, put it there, then I click add another file, upload file, choose file. You have to click 3 buttons just to choose a file. And then either the GIF or the Photoshop. I mean, sorry, let's take that back. You're turning in the Photoshop file and then either the GIF or the MP4. I'll go with the GIF. It's probably smaller. So I'm gonna just add that. And then if you want the extra credit, you can upload your GIF or your video to a website or to YouTube and just click and add the URL here. And then when you're done, then just click submit assignment. And that's all, and then you're all set. Okay, that's a wrap for today. Thanks everyone.